Well, hey everybody, I've been doing fundraising auctions, as you may or may not know, since 1987. That's the only type of auction I have ever done. And a few years ago, I sat down and collected all the great ideas that I've seen over the years, and I put them all into a book called Easy Money, How to Generate Record Profits at Your Next Fundraising Event. And I've got to be honest, about 80% of the content in this book is stuff that I've stolen from nonprofit organizations who have come up with these ideas. But I come up with the odd good idea once in a while too, and an idea that I created a number of years ago is something called a wild card auction. Now, in my book, I talk about the 3 E's of a successful fundraising auction event. You need to, first of all, entertain your audience. You need to engage them in order to extract money out of that crowd. And this idea I'm going to share with you right now is super simple, and I think that's the beauty of it. Sometimes the best ideas are the simple ones, but it's called a wild card auction, and here's what it is. I had people coming up over the years after an auction event, and they would say, Danny, I would have been happy to donate something to your auction, but nobody asked. And I heard this over and over and over. So finally one night, I took a package of these Oxford neon-colored index cards to one of my auction events, and I took a couple of these cards and I placed them on each of the tables at the event. And then at the beginning of the evening, I said, folks, we're glad to have you here tonight. We'd like to introduce an idea called a wild card auction. And very simply, if you have something of value that you would like to donate to the auction tonight, maybe you've got some hockey tickets or some concert tickets, or maybe you own a vacation property, perhaps you're a farmer or rancher and could donate maybe a side of beef or pork cut and wrapped for your freezer. If you've got something of value, why don't you write it down on this card if you'd like to donate it, along with your name and your phone number. Bring the card up to the front, and I'll auction this wild card item off during the live auction later this evening. Let me tell you what happened. That very first night that I tried the wild card auction, we had $46,500 that we raised just off these wild cards. $46,500. Unbelievable. Well, I tried it at my next event. It worked again. Tried it at my next event. It worked again. And over the years that I've been doing the wild card auction, I know personally I've been able to help organizations raise well in excess of $1 million just off these wild cards. In fact, a couple of years ago, I was down in California doing an auction for an athletic organization, and they had a bunch of NFL players there that night. One card came up. A gentleman said, I just bought a new Gulfstream jet. I will take 10 people to any football game they want to see. You pick the city, pick the game, pick the restaurant, pick the hotel. I'll fly you back the next morning. That one wild card generated $75,000. Then the gentleman that donated the item that night, the guy with the jet, he said double up on that. So I went to the second high bidder. That bidder agreed to take a second identical package for another $75,000. We had $150,000 US off just one card. I had only one other card come up that night. A gentleman said, I don't have a Gulfstream jet, but I've got a nice little Lear jet, and I'm friends with Andre Agassi and Stephanie Graf. We'll fly to Las Vegas for a weekend, stay with them in their home, and get some tennis lessons. That item sold for $60,000. Now, the wild card auction doesn't always work. Sometimes you'll put these cards out there and you'll promote it, and you may or may not get a response. It's very rare that nothing comes up, but I'll just share some typical ones with you. I've had some very funny ones over the years. I was doing an auction at Catholic Church one time, and down in the church basement, and the parish priest donated an item. He called it a pew with a view, and that was guaranteed front row seating, midnight mass for a family of 4, Christmas Eve. I said, that's great. You can stay home and drink until 11:45, march in here like you own the place, move the nuns off the front pew, and there you are for midnight mass on Christmas Eve. I was doing an auction in Killam, Alberta for the RCMP, having their Red Surge Ball in support of victim services. And as you can imagine, in a small rural town like that, half of the hall was filled with the RCMP and their families. On this side, we had all the farm families. One of the local farm boys donated a guided gopher hunt in a stolen truck with unregistered firearms and all the homemade moonshine that you can drink. 17-year-old kid donated that. Guess who I sold that to? The staff sergeant for $1,000. I was up in Cold Lake, Alberta doing an auction for Stars Air Ambulance. The town doctor donated a painless vasectomy for 2. I thought that's how they come. Like whoever gets just one done. Anyway, unless he meant for 2, like for you and a buddy. Hey Bob, let's finish our beer. I've got an idea, and I've got a coupon. Anyway, I didn't think anybody would bid for this, but I said, Does anybody want to go $200 on a vasectomy? Guy back in that corner put his hand up. I said, wow, how about $300? Guy over there put his hand up. 300, 400, 500. Just, these two guys started bidding back and forth like they had no farking idea in the world that you can get this done for free here in Alberta, which is where we live. And anyway, it sold for $3,600 to the first guy that started the bidding, and I could see why. His wife jumped up as soon as I said sold, and she went, woohoo! And she was about 8.5 months pregnant. So it's called the wild card auction. Very simple. You pick yourself up a deck of these neon-colored index cards from Oxford. You can get them at any office supply company. You throw a couple of cards down on the table. You make sure that your master of ceremonies or auctioneer does a pitch at the beginning of the evening, explaining to everybody what the wild card auction is, how it works, and it's critical that you invite the people to write their names, phone numbers, the item they want to donate on the card, and bring that card up to the front as soon as possible. Now, what I like to do as soon as the first card comes up, or first couple of cards, is I like to acknowledge those donors and really promote the items that they have donated. That gets the crowd excited, gets people engaged, and encourages other people to make wild card donations. So it's super simple, and really you can generate an auction out of thin air using the wild card auction. For more information on how it works, you can get a copy of my book online. It's Danny Hooper, Easy Money, How to Generate Record Profits at Your Next Fundraising Auction Event. Wild card auction, great idea.